When my mother told me the story you just heard, it forever changed my perspective. Because you see, my babcia was the mother who prayed for that soldier, and my mom was the little girl who he placed in babcia's arms. Mercy. Mercy is defined as kindness or compassion shown to someone whom it is in one's power to punish or harm. Throughout the Old and New Testaments, in Psalms and in the Gospels, kings, mothers, masters, the sick and the sinners ask, cry, and plead for mercy. We ask for God's mercy 3 times at the beginning of each Mass. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. Because we're not perfect, we are always asking for mercy. In Luke's Gospel, though, Jesus clearly tells us to be merciful, that to inherit eternal life, we must be merciful. My grandmother didn't ask for mercy, but she was a woman of great faith, so she asked to pray. And in that moment that he allowed, she found compassion for the young man and blessed him with her prayer. Why did that young soldier spare the lives of my family? Why was he, like the Samaritan, moved with compassion? Perhaps his grandmother was a woman of great faith, and in that moment, he heard her voice. Perhaps he heard the voice of God. When thinking about this reflection, I realized that some people, like Mark, who is a physician, have lots of opportunities to be merciful because of their vocation. Healthcare workers, first responders, teachers, it's easy to see how they could practice the art of mercy in their daily lives. But what about the rest of us? We live in challenging times. Acts of mercy don't always have to include saving a life. We can find moments of mercy in everyday life, from smiling at the harried cashier at ShopRite to patiently waiting for our drinks to arrive at the understaffed restaurant, to taking the time to speak to the elderly man sitting alone on a park bench. We can choose to join a ministry or get involved in other organizations that support and serve people in need. Moments of mercy will come when we open our hearts and our minds. Moments where, instead of crossing to the opposite side, we choose to be the Samaritan.
So, after all the consternation we had about what we were going to do, and your idea, and the tragic events unfolding in Ukraine, it was pretty powerful for us and for the parishioners. What reflections do you have about it, and reactions to what our fellow parishioners said?
Well, it really, even though I'd heard the story before, I saw it with new eyes. I really never thought about my grandmother as being this compassionate person that could look beyond the faults of others. And it was a wonderful way to share the story, or one of the stories of my family, and at the same time continuing to learn myself about my family. I think the other parishioners were really moved by the personal closeness to the story. They didn't know where it was going when you were telling the story, right?
Right, yeah. I think that you could see that in their eyes, that they were listening to the story and they were captured by the story, but they didn't know how it related to you or me.
Or to mercy.
Right.
Right.
Right. I think also, the thought of, she forgave him for what he was about to do. She had the intelligence and insight to understand he maybe didn't know what he was doing, and she forgave him. And that act, I think, she did demonstrate mercy to him, and that moved him in some way.
Compassion is a powerful thing, and if somebody is showing you compassion, it's easier to give it back. And I think that may be what happened there. And perhaps he did see his grandmother in her, and if his grandmother was faithful and blessed him before he went off to do his duties as a soldier, perhaps that was something that really touched him and moved him, and maybe he heard her voice, and that's what moved him to treat them the way he did.
Well, it was another one of your great ideas, and I need to hang around with you for a little while more to get some more ideas.
Thanks.